All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be getting into the Week 8 first look build here for you guys, touching on all my favorite values and core plays as well as it sits right now. Let's go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and start off with the running backs, and the running backs are kind of loaded in the sense that there's so many plays that we could be on that I think are in pretty good spots. But as it sits right now, there's like really Breece Hall to me that stands out going against New England. This should be a good matchup for him. You look at his first game against New England, was able to score a touchdown in that game. Wasn't really as dominant in that game, but still a great game for him there. This is kind of a must-win situation for the Jets as well. Since they have made the offensive coordinator change and since Robert Saleh has gotten fired, we have seen his snaps go up significantly in terms of him having a nice safety blanket in terms of his production. Last week against Pittsburgh, I was extremely impressed with that production. Pittsburgh is a pretty good defense, whereas Buffalo, you would have expected that. And I do kind of expect his production to continue, especially in the passing game as well. Really think he's set up for a very good spot there. At the same time, I could be talking to Bijan Robinson, who is going to be in a great matchup now against Tampa Bay, with Tampa Bay now looking very thin at the receiver position. It's tough to imagine their offense being as good as they were, and really that whole team being good now. I kind of expect this game to be a blowout in favor of the Atlanta Falcons going out and winning. So I think Bijan Robinson could be in for a nice game script there. That being said, Chuba Hubbard's still playing a lot of snaps. Don't exactly like the matchup there with Denver. James Cook gets a decent matchup against Seattle, but he's not someone I think we should be considering just with the amount of snaps that he's been playing. Josh Jacobs in a great spot. James Conner also in a great spot. A little bit confused by the pricing with him. Maybe it's just that matchup against Green Bay really threw everything off. And he has been, I guess, a little bit too hit or miss. But when that Arizona offense is playing well and they're not playing from behind, I don't know if I necessarily see it happening with Miami. They're supposed to get Tua back, so maybe that helps them out a lot. But James Conner at this price tag, to me, is a play that really sticks out. Now, that being said, you could pay up for it. Barkley, that's easy. Kenneth Walker gets a great matchup. You got Joe Mixon going against Indy, who, I mean, that's a phenomenal matchup for him as well. Plenty of other great running back plays. Let's go ahead and get into the receivers, guys. The receivers are also kind of loaded, but more so in the mid tier. Like, yes, you can pay up for the studs. I don't need to touch on really those plays. I want to talk about some of these players that are really below 6K, in which we are seemingly getting some pretty good value. So first and foremost, Tyler Lockett at this price tag with DK Metcalf out is, to me, kind of intriguing. Now, the Bills have been decent against stopping the pass, and really, I think that's more so just because they've been giving up a lot of production to opposing running backs. But with DK Metcalf off the field, I feel like we're just going to get a nice, safe floor here with Tyler Lockett. He should get some designed passes, manufactured touches is what I like to call them. And that should create a nice, safe floor for him. At the same time, we also have Romeo Doubs at that kind of similar price tag. And Jordan Love is probably in the best spot of any quarterback. And I'm going to look to want to stack him. And so we look at Romeo Doubs and, you know, coming in off of that kind of one game suspension, he's looked great. 2 touchdowns against Arizona and then against Houston, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 94 receiving yards. Obviously had himself a very good game last game as well. So he's someone I think we should certainly be looking at. But then we also are going to be getting all of that Tampa Bay value now as well. And it's really just, honestly, a lot of people are going to say McMillan just because he's the one that's been playing the most. Who knows? Like, Sterling Shepard obviously has the vibes with Baker Mayfield going back to their college days. I wouldn't be surprising to see him, play decently well. Really, any one of those three, we should be on. Trey Palmer, to me, very impressive last year. I would almost argue just because he typically does find the end zone that he's more likely to score the touchdown out of the 3. I would rather just bet on, who's more likely to score a touchdown. At the same time, just while we're here, I think Kate On's just going to be the play that we're going to be on. He's just going to get targeted heavily. And then I want to mention Quentin Johnston as well. Like, if he's going to be back and he's going to be healthy, this is too low of a price tag for him because he kind of is the receiver number 1. I think we saw really this offense miss him last night, where Simi Fehoko ended up having a pretty darn good game, and obviously Will Dissly getting targeted heavily. In a lot of the ways that those targets were going to those guys, we have seen Johnson be pretty effective there. Now, they were able to get Ladd McConkey going later on in the game. Josh Palmer really had his best game, but they're all certainly firmly going to be in play. I know I know DJ Moore did not have a massive game in his last game against Jacksonville. You would have really thought he would have. It ended up being a Keenan Allen game. I would say really any of the Bears receivers are going to be appealing in this matchup against Washington. At the same time, if Washington's going to be without Daniels, I actually think that would just help out DeAndre Swift a decent amount in terms of him getting, more rushes. So for now, I will be putting McMillan into the build. I'm really fine with any Tampa Bay receiver. We're going to leave that last receiver spot. I do want to mention the tight ends here. Again, I think we're probably just going to be rolling with Cade Otton. At the same time, Brock Bowers certainly has been getting targeted heavily. David Njoku in that offense now, with Amari Cooper out, got a lot of targets in that game. 14 targets, 10 receptions. I'm a little bit surprised that his price didn't get jacked up a little bit more after that game. That being said, Evan Ingram's at a great price tag as well. Like, he should be in for a good game. Tucker Kraft, probably a little bit too cheap, given how well he's looked and played. I will say Mark Andrews is certainly intriguing. I watching that game against Tampa Bay, I really felt like he was having a good game, mostly because Zay Flowers was a little bit banged up in that game. And he's still not seeing a lot of snaps, so he's more touchdown dependent. And I don't know if we need to exactly go on that. Noah Gray's really just been the receiver number 2 here for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Maybe someone that continues to play well. Don't hate him as a play. Sanders finally got priced up. He's still an okay value. And so for me, guys, that's where I'm just getting to Cade Otton as kind of just the simple, easy plug and play. Hopefully he's still used the way he has been. I'm hoping for at least 6 targets, and I think we're going to get that. DST wise, typically speaking, I don't really care to spend time on DST, especially early on in the week. And it's going to be the same this week. I will say Chargers against the Saints. If they're still banged up, sure, we'll go with that. And then, getting into the quarterback position. So this is certainly interesting this week. Jalen Hurts in a good spot against Cincinnati. That game has a chance to kind of maybe become a shootout. So we'll see. Jordan Love against Jacksonville, just a phenomenal matchup for him. He is someone that has just been an extremely consistent fantasy producer, typically a high floor. Happy to start out my builds this week with him. And that being said, I'm not really seeing any great value. Like CJ Stroud's in an okay spot. Anthony Richardson certainly going to be a great GPP play. If you're not playing Bijan Robinson, I would suggest getting to Kirk Cousins. I think that's a natural good fade. It's been more run heavy scripts for Atlanta the last couple of games. Now, I know against Seattle, they got kind of blown out, but he still only had 35 pass attempts, which obviously not great. We kind of need this game to be more of a shootout. And I do worry that with Tampa being without Chris Godwin and without Mike Evans, that the correct play is just going to be Robinson. But at the same time, would it be shocking to see Cousins and London or Mooney just have good games? No. Anthony Richardson, I say, is a decent GPP play on this site. I don't hate him. Kind of surprising that Bo Nix is at this cheap price tag going against Carolina. Just with his rushing, that's created a nice, safe floor for him. I think that this is probably going to be the chalk. At the same time, I don't want to trust Bo Nix because he still really hasn't looked good. He looks bad still. To be honest with you, it's honestly just the Sean Payton offense. I really think Zach Wilson could be doing the exact same thing as Bo Nix. Maybe a couple more dumb mistakes in there, but still the matchup's great. That's kind of it there. And then so receiver, how much salary do we have left over? 5.7. Boom, Tyler Lockett. Feel pretty good about that. That's a solid first look build. And then with that, let's actually just take a peek at what the 9-to-5 lineup builder is telling us is going to be the best builds as well. Again, just to start it, going to do 2 data points to give it to work. And so Bo Nix is in the lineup. I guess that shouldn't be too shocking. Then Robinson, then Breece Hall. So I agree with that. McMillan, agree with that. Tyreek Hill with Tua back. That is certainly too cheap. J.K. Dobbins, I'm kind of okay with that. Jets D, whatever, fine paying up for them. Cade Otton. So it's kind of agreeing with me. And so honestly, this could end up being a pretty chalky slate because I don't see that much changing throughout the week. Now, knock on wood. We already have a lot of injuries. Don't need any more random ones. Cortland Sutton in this one is a little bit scary, but obviously makes sense with Bo Nix. Is getting to Lucas Kroll in this one with Bo Nix as well. So, there's some decent routes that we can go there. But that's going to be all for this video. I do want to remind you guys of the promo code that's going on the website. Use the promo code Keep Cash and you get 20% off your first 9-to-5 membership. So get the first month for $8 instead of $10. That's going to be all for this video, guys. Comment your favorite play. Leave a like on the video. That does help out the channel a lot. If you guys want to share this with anyone, by all means, go for it. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.